right, so for today, we are going to be covering volume. So we've been working with these three-dimensional figures. So volume of your prisms. So your prisms are something that has two congruent bases, two parallel congruent bases. So if you look at this example, this is one base, okay? And then directly above it, directly parallel to it, you have the exact same base. That is a prism. So all of your prisms, you are going to use volume equals big B times little h, base times height. Okay, now here, B doesn't just stand for a length. B actually stands for the area, or I should do this thing. Oh, let's do it in blue, sorry. B equals the area of base, okay? Area of base. Okay, now volumes of pyramids. Okay, so for volumes of pyramids, it is 1/3 big B times little h. So your pyramids are these ones over here. Let's see, where do we have it? Right here. So you don't have two congruent bases. You just have this one base. Okay, this is what your pyramid looks like. And then this one is going to be 1/3 big B times little h. And then last one, volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. And so r, all you need is the r, which is your radius. So on here, your first step is to identify which figure you are working with and which formula to use. So here we have a volume of a prism. So we're going to use volume equals big B times little h, okay? Now let's figure out what the base is and how to find the area of it. So our base here is a rectangle. So we're going to find the area of the base. So here is 13, and this long way is 6, okay? So our area of our base is going to be 13 times 6, which gives us, I believe, 78. But let me just, yes, it's 78. I just want to double check to be sure. Okay, then we need to multiply this times the height. So how tall is our prism? So if we notice here, it tells us that it is 3 inches tall. So here I'm going to put 3 inches. So now we're ready to find the volume. We're going to use base times height. So we're going to use 78 times 3. And so when we plug that in, 78 times 3, that gives us 234. And then our units are inches cubed because we are in the third dimension. We're in doing volume. We had inches. Oh, this should have been inches squared for our base. Inches squared times inches, which gives us inches cubed. Okay. Now here, this one says, what is the volume in cubic meters of a rectangular prism with a height of 4 meters, a width of 10 meters, and a length of 18 meters? So on here, you can go ahead and draw a picture. I know sometimes of course, our pictures are not going to come out to scale. So if you draw two intersecting rectangles and then you just connect their ends, that's how you can draw a prism. So now that we drew a prism, it tells us that the height is 4 meters. So from here to here, this is 4 meters. So I'm going to go ahead and write it in here as well. And then it tells us that the width of 10 meters and a length of 18 meters. So the width of 10 meters and this is 18 meters. So for our formula, we are going to use the same thing. They already told us it's a prism. So volume equals big B times little h, our base times our height. Now our base, we're going to go ahead and multiply 10 times 18. 10 times 18, which gives us 180 meters. Okay, that gives us the area of the base. So then from there to find the volume, we're going to have to multiply our base, our big B, times our little h. So times 4. And so when we plug that in, I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator really quick. 180 times 4, and that gives us 720. And remember, our units are meters cubed. And once again, I forgot to put the square there. Sorry about that. There you go. So let's look at the next one. Okay, this one is also considered a prism. Even though it's a cylinder, it still has the two congruent bases that are parallel to each other. So this one you're going to use big B times little h. Okay. Now remember, big B stands for the area of the base. So because our base is the shape of a circle, we're going to use pi r squared. Okay. And when we're using pi r squared, we need to find the radius. And on here, they do not give us the radius, they give us the diameter. But we can easily find the radius by taking 40 and dividing by 2. That gives us 20. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and find the area of my circle. And it gives me, it's going to be a big number, 1,256. And they don't tell us what to round to, so I'm just going to round to the nearest tenth. And then our units are centimeters squared. I remember the squared this time, sorry. All right, next is going to be the height. So this is the height of our prism. That gives us 75 centimeters. So now we're ready to find the volume. So it's big B, which is 1,256.6 times 75. And I'm going to plug that in. And that gives us 94,247.8 centimeters cubed. So on here it tells us what is the volume in cubic feet of a cylinder. So once they tell us that it's a cylinder, we need to remember that our volume that we're going to use, the formula, is big B times little h. Okay, they tell us that the height is 12 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in here already. And then it says, and a base radius of 9 feet. And then to the nearest tenth place. Okay, so we're finding the volume to the nearest tenth. The radius is 9, so now we're ready to plug that into our formula for the area of a circle. So pi r squared is how you find the area of your base. So it's going to be pi times 9 squared. And that is going to give us 254.5. And then our units here are feet squared. So now that we have our base and our height, we can go ahead and plug it into our volume formula. So volume equals 254.5 times 12. And when I plug that into my calculator, we get 3,000. Oh, I left a big space. 3,053.6, and our units are feet cubed. All right, let's look at our next one. So this next one, this is a pyramid. So because it's a pyramid, this time our formula is going to be 1/3 big B times little h, okay? Now this one you do need to be very, very careful because your height is important. For surface area, we use what we called the slant height, the L. We would use this one. So for the volume, you do not use that one. So be very careful. This is just extra information. We need the height going from the top of your pyramid straight down, and it should make a right angle with the base, okay? That is going to be your height. So in this case, our height is 8 inches. And then from here, this is 12 inches here. And since this is a square pyramid, this should also be 12 inches. So for a base, since it's a square pyramid, it'll be 12 times 12, which gives us 144 inches squared. Okay, so now we're ready to plug it into our formula. So it's going to be 1/3 our big B, which stands for the area of the base, which is 144, times our height, which is 8. So we're going to go ahead and plug that into our calculators. So 1/3 times 144 times 8 gives us 384. And our units are inches cubed. Okay, the next one, it says, find the volume of a pyramid with a square base where the side length of the base is 16.6 meters. So they tell us it's a square base and it's 16.6 meters. So for big B, we're going to do 16.6 times 16.6. So that is going to give us 275.6 meters squared. Then it tells you, and the height of the pyramid is 9.1. So instead of h, we're going to put 9.1. I forgot to write the formula. So it's volume equals 1/3 big B times little h. Okay, so for volume, we're going to write here 1/3. We already found big B. We said big B was 275.6 and little h is 9.1. So I am going to write that or punch that into my calculator. 9.1. And it gives us 835.9. And our units are meters cubed. All right. Next one. Okay, this one is a cone. So with your cones, use the same. Did I put that up here? I did not. Use the same formula as a pyramid. So our formula is going to be 1/3 big B times little h. Okay, so our big B stands for the area of the base. So in this case, our cone, the base is in the shape of a circle. So pi r squared. So pi, our radius is 10 squared. We go ahead and put that in our calculators, and that gives us 314.2. And our units are centimeters squared. Then the height of our cone is 24 centimeters. Okay, so now we're ready to find the volume. So it's going to be 1/3 big B, which stands for the area of the base. So 314.2 times 24. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator. And that gives me 2,513.3. All right, we're almost done. So just hang in there with me. Centimeters cubed. Okay, it says find the volume of a right circular cone that has a height of 4.5. So the reason why they say a right circular cone is because you're not thinking of a cone that's like lopsided or something like that. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, my fire alarm would go off right now. Don't worry, I'm safe. Okay. All right, so our formula is going to be 1/3 big B times little h. And then it tells us that for base, we need the radius. So it has a height of 4.5. That's not what we need to find big B, but I'm going to go ahead and write that here. Feet. And the base with the diameter of 14.2. So they didn't give us the radius, they gave us the diameter. So when we plug it in here, pi r squared, we're going to go ahead and cut 14.2 in half, and that gives us 7.1. So let me go ahead and punch that in my calculator. And that gives us 158.4 feet. All right, let's see. For our volume, we're ready to go. So it's 1/3. Our big B we know is 158.4, and then our height is 4.5. So let me go ahead and plug that in my calculators. 1 second. Okay, that gives us 237.6 feet cubed. All right, the last section. So here we have a sphere. So for the volume of a sphere, I have it up here. It is 4/3 pi r cubed. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up here. Oh, I wonder why I did that. Whoops. This is definitely a typo. So the formula is 4/3 pi r to the third power. Okay, this one you don't need the base and the height. I don't know why I did that. For this one, you only need one variable, and the only variable you need is r. Okay, so it's 4/3 pi r cubed. Oh, I'm sorry. If we look here, it is 8 inches. Sorry, 8 inches. I wanted to go straight into plugging in. So it's going to be 4/3 pi 8 to the third power. So we're going to plug that into the calculator. And that is going to give us 2,144.7, and our units are inches cubed. Once again, you don't need this little section, and this shouldn't be B, it should be R. I'm so sorry about that. It says, what is the volume of a sphere with a diameter of 57.1? So they didn't give us the radius, they gave us the diameter. So we're going to go ahead and cut that in half, and it gives us 28.55. And so our formula, since it is a sphere, it's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. And so we get 4/3 pi, and then instead of radius, we're going to plug in 28.55 to the third power. So I'm going to go ahead and punch that into my calculator. And this gives me 97,478.1. And our units are inches cubed. All right, so that's it. I do want to share with you really quick one section on Delta Math. So on Delta Math, it says volume of rectangular prisms visually. I like this one because it really shows you a visual of it, but I want to show you guys how you're supposed to work it out. So it says answer all the questions below in order to determine the volume of the rectangular prism. So it says here, press play or press a play button. So you play it, and it shows you the little squares. So it goes 10 squares across, and it asks you, how many cubes are currently in the prism? So as of right now, we have 10. So try, and it says we're good. So then it makes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60 rows. I counted by 10s. Across is from here to here is 6. Okay, so that's why it did 6 rows this way. Okay, so it's 60 blocks for this whole base. So it says how many cubes are currently in the prism. So I'm going to go ahead and put right here 60. And then enter. Try. Okay, and then now it's going to fill it up height. So let's go ahead and play it. So it's 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus another 60. So it's 60 times 4, okay, which is the height. And so 60 times 4 is going to give us, 6 times 4 is 24. So I believe 240. Try. And then submit answer. And it says, are you sure? Yes, I am sure. And then it is correct. So that one's just a little visual of how volume works. I think it's a really cool activity. You are going to have 2, I believe, of each section. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You guys have 14 problems to work on. Thank you guys so much. Remember, if you guys have any questions, you can leave it in the comments. Send your teacher a message, whatever you need. We're here to help you guys. Thank you. Bye.